Ancelotti's departure from Real Madrid was confirmed yesterday, and Xabi Alonso announced his departure from Bayer Leverkusen at the end of the season as well, which sets the stage for the reports that we've been reading about for weeks that Xabi Alonso will be Real Madrid's new manager. How do you see him faring up against having to deal with those big egos at Real Madrid?
I don't think it will be a problem for him. You know, obviously, coming from Bayer Leverkusen and going to Real Madrid, yes, it's a night and day club. But him as a player, as a man, and where he's been himself and who he's played with, he's been at Liverpool, great players. He's played at Real Madrid, great players. He's played with Spain, massive egos as well. So I think him going in there, I think it's a massive task for him. But ego-wise, I don't think he'll have a problem because he's dealt with it as a player himself all of his career.
This is a Real Madrid side that the lack of discipline has cost them in a lot of ways. You think of the Copa del Rey final, how embarrassing that was to watch Antonio Rudiger lose his mind. Vinny Jr. Vinny Jr., gosh, I'm going to lose my mind talking about it, but Vinny Jr. throwing tape at the referee, throwing stuff from the sideline. That, for me, is where Real Madrid are in a nutshell right now. They're a club in chaos, a team in chaos. And for Xabi Alonso, the biggest thing that he did for Bayer Leverkusen that I think he's going to look to do, you look at the most influential player, it wasn't Florian Wirtz for me. It was getting a player like Granit Xhaka. Getting a player who is an extension of the coaching staff. I think of a player like how significant the leadership or lack of leadership right now is at Real Madrid. And when you come in as a new manager and when you're in a locker room, you're looking for a sense of direction, right? And I think Xabi Alonso, who he picks to be that sense of direction, whether it's getting a new signing, I would pick Dani Carvajal to be my leadership profile, to then build as your North Star, that all the other Mbappés and your talent and egos kind of fall behind.
The three things I'm fixing, which I sent to production and I might have forgot. Oh, here we are. We got all three of them. Listen, find a tempo-regulating midfielder. You mentioned that, right? What Granit Xhaka was to Bayer Leverkusen, I mean, what for so many years Luka Modric was for Real Madrid, at this point you need to find another guy that's gonna be your metronome, someone that's gonna allow you to have that order, kind of like Toni Kroos was. But crazy enough, I want you guys to go back to the beginning of last Real Madrid season. No one was talking about Toni Kroos the way they were talking about him now. He kind of found himself halfway through the season. Maybe he's on your squad. Maybe you need to go find Zubimendi at Real Sociedad, who's someone that you managed in Real Sociedad youth, if you're Xabi Alonso. Find somebody. I don't know who that is. It's not my job. But this Real Madrid clearly is desperate for that type of player. Then I would say sign a center back, which it feels imminent. And I think all reports are going that way because you have two good center backs, sure, in Rudiger and Asensio, who's kind of been the revelation. If you want to call it a silver lining this season, I think you found Raúl Asensio, excuse me. But Xabi Alonso often switches from a three-man backline to a four-man backline, so it's either three center backs and two center backs. You need a third center back. Not only for the depth, yes, you got Militao coming in, but you need really good center backs. If you're Real Madrid, they were porous like Swiss cheese this season. It was shocking sometimes. I mean, El Clásico was the prime example. Those notable center backs, I mean, it's a pretty good list of center backs. So just bringing back that defensive fortitude, having a strong, reliable spine in your goalkeeper, which you already have, then your center backs, whichever iteration of formation you want to play, and then in the midfield. Up top, I think we know what up top is. And then my last one, I think, is find a Joselu type 9. Not someone that's going to start, but to give you a variant tactically up top, a reference in the box. They've been playing without a reference for so many seasons in either Jude, Bellingham, Jude is Bellingham, Jude, Mbappé, Vini, right? All these players. But I think an X factor last season was bringing Joselu when he came off the bench. Reference point. Yeah. Change things up. Sometimes you need the 9 to be inside of the box. And a lot of the times, having that type of player resolves some issues. So find that type of guy. Again, I don't know who he is, but it's not my job.
Phil, you've been hearing a little bit about the things that Nico thinks that Xabi Alonso could do to help Real Madrid. For you, when you look at him potentially taking over Real Madrid, you know, what kind of formation do you see him bringing to this club? How do you think we'll see this Real Madrid shape up under him?
How is he going to play? And we think if he does play with 3 centre-backs and 2 wing-backs, that's going to need some kind of big makeover in the Real Madrid defence. They're going to need to sign at least 1 centre-back, probably 2. And there's a lot of talk here in Spain about signing a left back. Lots of suggestions about Alex Grimaldo, who's at Bayer Leverkusen and who Xabi Alonso has basically turned into one of the best attacking wing backs in Europe. And someone else, Alvaro Carreras, as well, at Benfica, who was formerly of the Real Madrid Youth Academy as well. Those are 2 names that are constantly getting repeated in terms of the left-back spot. In terms of the centre-back spot, you had some options there on the screen before. Dean Howson is the one that is getting a lot of traction here in Spain. They like the idea of Howson, who can bring the ball out from the back, and that playing with a 3 centre-backs could be very key as well. There isn't actually that much talk about signing anyone further up the pitch. All the talk at the moment is who he's going to bring in defensively. There's a lot of suggestions that Rodrigo might be on his way out, and if Rodrigo does go, then the club will potentially just stick with Endrick, Brahim, maybe Adegula as well, and not bring in, as Nico was suggesting, that plan B, which Joselu was so effective last season for Real Madrid. But yeah, on your screen there is something potentially what it might look like for Real Madrid next season, although I think we're going to see some new faces coming in as well.
Can Vinny Jr. and Kylian Mbappé exist? So with Xabi Alonso coming in...
They do exist. They were born. What are you talking about?
Can they coexist? Can they coexist? So with Xabi Alonso coming in with the tactical variance and just flexibility that he has, can they coexist?
They have to. They have to coexist. The thing is that they can't both coexist on the left-hand side of an attack, which is where they both want to play. And that's why we've been saying this Real Madrid squad was unbalanced, because you've got 3 forward players. Your 3 main attackers all want to play on the left. So, yeah, they have to find a way to coexist, whether... but they're going to play with the front 2. That's the thing. In almost every Xabi Alonso potential formation, it's 2 up front, and we know who those 2 are going to be. It's going to be Mbappé and it's going to be Vinicius, and he's going to have to find a structure to make those 2 not just work together, but get the best out of both of them, be at the very best, because they need Vinicius and Mbappé to be at their very best. Mbappé scored nearly 40 goals this season. I mean, in terms of numbers, it's really, really good, but he hasn't shone with stunning performances. And Vinicius Jr., well, yeah, I mean, we could be here a long time discussing what's gone wrong this season. This is the heat maps on your screen there indicate a lot of things. Who wants to be where? Well, Mbappé, he drifts to the left, and then he thinks, oh no, I've got to come back in. I've got to be more central. But where he wants to start off, where he's been more explosive, where he's been the most useful player, where he's been one of the best players in the world, if not the best player in the world, is cutting in from the left-hand side. So yeah, Xabi Alonso's got to find a way to make sure that they're both in effective parts on the pitch, because they can't both be on the left. That can't happen again. That heat map cannot be the same at the end of next season.
Is that what is El Madridismo saying about Xabi Alonso right now?
Yeah, they're excited. They're excited by him, and it's not easy to get Real Madrid fans excited by a new managerial signing. And taking over from Carlo Ancelotti, it was always going to be difficult. A manager who's had so much success, but it's the timing. It just feels like this is the right time for someone like Xabi Alonso to take over from someone like Carlo Ancelotti, someone who's viewed by a certain section of the fan base as a little bit antiquated, a little bit too old school. His ideas and methods not necessarily what this squad needs. And I was thinking about this and discussing this with a colleague today, and actually it's possibly a really good scenario for Xabi Alonso coming into now, because the squad are going to be hungry. They've come into it's coming off a bad season. This is a terrible season for Real Madrid. For Bayer Leverkusen, second in the division, cup final and quarterfinals of the Champions League is one of the best seasons in their history. For Real Madrid, it is a absolutely catastrophic season. But that's going to help Xabi Alonso, I think, as well. It's going to help with the mentality of the players. They're going to have to buy into what he proposes. And they're going to be hungry. And we saw with Barcelona the change between them this season and last season. Okay, Hansi Flick came in and he had new ideas, but the players were hungry. They bought into what he was saying. They wanted it. And now Real Madrid coming off this barren season where they've won nothing. It's been so disappointing. I think that might play into Xabi Alonso's hands.